All right, everybody, what's up? We're gonna have to do a little bit of live SEC weekend recap. We couldn't go all the way till Tuesday with me and Randy before we talked about this. So first things first, Auburn off to a 1-0 start. That's the beautiful thing about this past weekend is that Auburn. I mean, what else could you want? I mean, they passed the test. Faith and I recorded a podcast that'll go on in the morning, and that's what we talked about. We talked about this game for 3 months, and Auburn had to get a win, and they had to do this, they had to do that, and we're going to dive into our reaction on that and how what all we thought about that. But Auburn, 38 points, running the football at will. Now, again, Baylor not very good defensively up front. Auburn took advantage of it. Glad Coach Freeze, Derek Nix, Ken Austin said, hey, let's scrap the passing game and let's gash them all night. And we did it with Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, and Jackson Arnold. Just a big win. Proud Auburn went on the road and in a true road environment, got a big win to start the season.
Well, a great one for you to start, too. I mean, a great weekend to head out there and actually leave out feeling pretty good about yourself because I'm warning everyone, Brett Pritchard is not very good at hiding his emotions when things aren't going well. I think he can. If the media, if he's got a job, he might be able to. But we were telling our funny story about our friend Paula with the Auburn and Texas A&M game a few years ago. And Paul, if you're listening, this is one that we tell quite often. So I'll throw it out there, and then I'll get back to the Auburn. But Justin and I was watching that nightmare at Jordan-Hare when it was 28-0 about
y'all not to go
about one quarter, and Brett was smart enough to not have gone that Saturday, but we went. And Paula said, "What are y'all leaving for?" I said, "What are you staying for, Paula? I mean, it's 28-0. It's one play into the second quarter, and I've seen all I need to see. I should have taken Brett Pritchard's advice before. So you can't do that this year, Brett.
I cannot.
I am so glad that potentially you've got a team that is going to keep your interest. But all right, here's my first takeaway, and then we'll talk all you want. And by the way, we could not miss tonight.
No,
Brett, Thursday night.
So not going too well across the state.
I mean, I know that there's this thing you and I've got going is when Ben Russell's not doing good, it certainly feels like Auburn's not doing good. And then you and I've just got to suck it up, Buttercup, and live through a year of tough football. But, gosh, Thursday night couldn't have been any better. Love the way that game played out. I loved that. And then Friday night felt exactly like Thursday, other than our defense was a lot better Thursday. But the offensive side of the ball felt exactly the same, Brett. You found something that was working. You weren't stubborn enough to change it and try to chase passing yards. And you just lean on them and win the football game, running the football. And that's where I'll start with it, man. I was just proud. Andy and I did the show on Friday because you and Faith were traveling out to Dallas, then over to Waco. And you had a wild week. But, you know, what we said on Friday was I'm hopeful that this year we're not stubborn calling plays. And when we find something that works, just stick with it. You know, like, don't go out there and chase stats. We all know we've got a great receiving core. But if they're going to play two deep safeties and they're going to give openings in the middle of the field to run the football, then take advantage and gash them. Right. You know, I've always thought about that. You know, it feels like the older that I get, the more that the receivers seem to be the prima donnas, but the running backs aren't. You know, when you and I were growing up, if the running backs didn't get their 25 touches or 150 yards, it was a problem. Now we seemingly sit around and go, well, I'm not sure if X kid's got his 7 or 8 catches for 150 yards tonight. Well, who cares? You know, if you're able to run the football and show some strength up front, and gosh knows, let's get into that nightmare Alabama had on the lines of scrimmage yesterday. But that's why I'm so thrilled about Auburn football is we look good on the lines of scrimmage, right? We look terrible in the secondary, and there's no other way to spin it. Now, we started the season badly last year in the secondary, and DJ Durkin and staff got that cleaned up. So we've already seen him clean that up before, and I've got all the faith that he'll clean it up this year. But I'll kick it to you on that, man. I was just thrilled that we found something in the running game. We didn't veer from it. And then we found a tough, hard-nosed quarterback that, yes, he's got to find his way throwing the football at some
Right.
point.
I think that's
But
coming.
but I'll just take I'll take, as long as you've got a Nick Marshall-esque quarterback
right.
that can get the job done with his legs and his arm. We've got to see him do it with his arm, but I feel confident. But you needed to add some confidence to Jackson Arnold after
You
week
need to
one.
have
We
a
were
good
all
You need to
we
have a
were
good
all, we were all worried about that. Well, my
Right.
gosh, if he's not confident after what he did in Waco, then I don't think you can be.
Yeah, well, he is confident, and I think what people found out is that he's a very good RPO style quarterback, and I'm telling you, he's after hearing Coach Freeze in the presser and listening to Jackson Arnold, there were opportunities in the passing game too, but we were gashing Baylor so badly that they said, we're not going away from this. We're just going to continue to do this, hold on to the football, take care of the football. And that's what Auburn did. So I tell you, I was very pleased with our offense. 38 points, ran the football better than we've run it in forever. You go on the road and score 38 points, you've done something. I don't care how you do it. If I had to pick how I'd like to score points every week, if you told me we were going to run the ball 350 yards every week and we're going to score 38 points, that's how I'd take it, rather than through the air. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I want to go over to the defense because y'all were texting me during the game. We were in a group text, so we were all texting each other. And the service, obviously was in the stadium was terrible, so I couldn't really respond to y'all like I needed to. But I was getting the text coming in, and I was reading what y'all were saying. And yes, the secondary was disappointing. That's the only word I can come up with. Hey, after watching practice, and Jason and I were talking about it, Faith and I were talking about it, all of us were sitting there going, everybody was worried about the running game and Jackson Arnold and the running backs, and they kicked everybody's ass tonight. And we were talking about how great our secondary was and maybe the best, and they ain't tackled anybody, ain't covered anybody. It's like, is everything opposite going on here? I still think our secondary is going to be really good. They got a lot of players. Coach Durkin said after the game, said we played too many guys. And they played too many guys in a lot of play. I think Auburn, I know we played 25 players. I know Malik Autry got in some on the defensive line, whatever. But the tackling part, the physical part was a little disappointing. Now, look, I'm gonna give Baylor some props. That's a damn good offense. Sawyer Robinson's a good quarterback, and he caused everybody problems last year. And he got a couple really good receivers, and they can't run the football, so it made them one dimensional. But they were able to make some plays in the passing. Now, what I was disappointed, not in the coverage, but more along the lines of tackling and putting guys on the ground at the point of attack. They got way too many yards after contact.
They did. I wish I could point to one secondary player that I felt like had a good night, and I can't. I kept watching for Caleb Harris to have a good night, Brett, but
he had a bad night. He had a real bad night, actually.
Yeah,
he
just, they seemed out of sorts in their communication on the back end, especially with the balls coming across the middle. And I know that you're susceptible to that when you got two safeties back. It seems, and that middle cross is always really tough. And their tight end's outstanding. I think he's an NFL prospect, and if he wasn't, we made him look like one. Now, don't get me wrong. Auburn's made some players over the years look like NFL prospects that the remainder of the year they didn't pan out. But he looked great the other night, and I'm with you. Their passing game, look, you throw for over 400 yards, they're pretty good. And they did that a lot the last 6 games last year, including the bowl game that they lost. They still threw it all over the park. So, back to the comment right there. They had 2 high safeties. We couldn't throw it. Yeah, the beauty of Auburn's offense, though, to me, though, Brett, is, if you're going to be given something, take it. And,
right. And we did.
Here's what we saw maybe a little more of this Friday than I'm hoping that we see more. And I think we saw it a lot all weekend is the passing game, for whatever reason, is a little slower getting going. But if you have the ability to run the ball, especially with your quarterback, then you can get yourself through the first couple of weeks,
right,
and then try to open up some things and get some film out there and see what other teams are going to do to you defensively, and make some corrections as far as that. But I can't say enough about the you've been doing ball games with me for almost 20 years. you can repeat what I say. You know, when you find something that works, until they prove it over and over and over again, and I'm not just talking about one time, until they prove it over and over again that they can
Hey,
clean
Danny
that.
Horn's won a lot of football games in his career doing just that.
Well, when you find someone that's a weak link, you know, I thought that was what he always did the best job of, is film study, finding a weak link, and then exposing that person or a couple of people on that side of the ball. And I thought Auburn did that. And then that middle option game, look, every single time we showed speed sweep to Singleton,
Yeah.
every single play worked. And why is that? Well, because he's so dynamic on the perimeter that you've got to at least look out and make sure that your edges are in place. Well, with that being said, I mean, Jackson Arnold was just great putting the football in the belly. And then he was physical enough to get through any arm tackles that put themselves out there. And we've already said, I didn't know he had that much speed until
He's
Friday
fast,
night.
dude. No,
Man,
he's fast.
he's an outstanding.
Well,
He can get away from people.
that last touchdown he scored on. All right, we called a timeout. It's 4th and about 1.5, I think, and we're not going to kick a field goal there. Jason and I were sitting there, and he said, "I'm afraid we're going to try that tush push because we've been practicing it all week." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I wish they would run the same play they've run a couple of times where they just the one you just said, show the speed sweep and let Jackson take it." And so they come out of the timeout and they come out there and they line up shotgun. I said, "Jason, they're running that play. They
See the formation."
Yeah, same formations. I said, "They're running that play. It's not going to be tush push," and they did. And the daggum C's parted.
Did you see it blocked? Did you see how well that thing was
coming
blocked?
straight to it? Like, I mean, it was – you couldn't have blocked it any better. And, like, I don't know how Baylor didn't know that wasn't coming. And again, it was so well drawn up, and it was an obvious deal. You would think, okay, get 1 yard, you got to do whatever. Dude, Jackson Arnold wasn't touched. He walked into the end zone, and it was at that end zone that we were in the back of, and he was coming right to us. And as soon as he faked the handoff, man, the whole thing opened up, and it was just, look, again,
the timing was so good.
It is.
The timing on the blocking was so good, and the fake is almost like an old.
Played great all night.
Well, it's almost like an old school counter where you've got to give that extra just a little bit of a second. I don't care if it's a jab step right or left. You got to give it a little bit of a second so you can get that trap block through and get those pulling blocks through. But Auburn blocked down on the left side beautifully. Got those shoulders turned on those interior linemen, and then here comes our pull blockers from the right side, and they just took them out. And man, it just opened up perfectly. I mean, you couldn't draw it up any better. You couldn't. But Brett, you know, my point that I was trying to make with Singleton though is if you just take your eyes, especially the linebackers, if you just take your eyes off of that middle part and lose that A and B gap for just a brief second.
Right.
The thing about Jackson Arnold's, dude, when he sees a hole, he's hitting it. And not everyone has been that way. And gosh, when's the last true downhill running quarterback that we've had? Because Bo Nix is an amazing athlete. But he was not a downhill running quarterback that I can remember. Am I wrong there?
I think, man, I think he gets maybe not enough credit for being really physical.
But it didn't feel like we dialed up.
I remember Bo running tackle. Yeah, he would knock it. He may not be to the extent Jackson Arnold is, but he'd get in there and get a yard or two when he needed to, and he was not afraid. So I would count Bo Nix on that. You know, again, you've said it a million times, and I know we're going to get to the Alabama game here in just a minute, but Nick, that was the thing that Gus Malzahn was best at doing. His offense was best when he had somebody like Nick Marshall or Cam Newton or Castellanos like he's got at Florida State now. I don't know why in the hell he went away from that. It makes no sense, but he's back now, and Florida State's a problem for everybody. Just go ahead and accept it because Gus Malzahn has the quarterback that he needs for that offense, and they got a lot of talent on that team. They did a great job in the portal of going out and getting some stud players, some guys that we were in on, by the way, but namely the running back for Florida State that ended up going down there. And Georgia wanted him too. Georgia wanted him real bad. So bottom line is that, you know, that style of offense, when you got a Jackson Arnold or a Castellanos, whatever. It poses a lot of problems for defenses. And that, Randy, what thing is, people watch that film, and now they got to honor that, and they go, we can't give up 300-something yards on the ground. We're going to get beat. So they got to add some more guys to the box. What's that going to do? It's going to open up some opportunities for some of these dynamic receivers. They're going to get more man coverage. They're going to get more one-on-one opportunities, and we didn't have to force anything. They're going to have opportunities, and I talked to Jackson after the game. He said, man, that's coming. He said, this is setting up for Auburn to be a complete offense. And Jackson Arnold, if anybody ever doubted he's in control back there, that's the one thing we talked about on the sideline. Faith and I said it in the recorded podcast you'll see in the morning. Jackson Arnold was in full control of that offense. He never looked panicked. Everything looked like it ran through him. He made the decisions. I'm fine with I thought he had a great game. I did.
For the first game, look, we all want to see 225 yards rushing and 250 yards passing. That's like a perfect week. But when it's not open to doing that, man, go get what we got in 2013. I don't remember any Auburn fan complaining when we rushed the football for 300-plus yards and Trey Mason was running, gashing people, and we weren't hitting 275 yards.
I loved that offense. I loved it.
You and I both. And it goes back to that Alabama and Florida State game, the thing that drives you nuts. How many Auburn fans do you know that dislike Gus Malzahn?
I don't know any, really. I don't know any.
Either. I mean, I still really like Gus Malzahn. I like the program that he ran. I thought he was the right fit. Of course, he looked like he was an amazing fit for us in 2013.
Hey, who felt like the head coach on the sideline for Florida State yesterday?
Well, I thought it was I watched.
They showed Gus Malzahn more than they showed Norville.
It's because the cameras have been on him so often, including his days at Auburn, that it's easy to go to him and see what he's doing. But I thought both of them's demeanor. I thought it gave a good feel for their head coach too, that he didn't seem like he needed the camera. He didn't feel like he needed to be overly involved in the offensive play calling, which was Gus's issue at Auburn. He never would turn the reins over to anybody. And, and if he did, he'd pull it back in. And I understand. But back to the point you were making, nothing is more frustrating than to watch Gus Malzahn beat Alabama with a quarterback that looked the imps of Nick Marshall. And then to go back and think of 2015 on at Auburn and go, why in the hell did we go away from that style of quarterback? Why in the world did Malik Willis not look like he was the perfect fit for Auburn when he was, to me, a better version than Nick Marshall as far as throwing the football and could do all of the things that he could running the football? I'll never, for the rest of my life, understand that.
Brandon, what Randy was talking about there is Gus wouldn't turn the reins over to the offensive coordinator when he was the head coach. That's what I know he was the head coach of the game. He didn't turn the reins over to the assistant coach. That was his problem. That's what got him fired. He could not manage the program and give it to Rhett Lashley, give it to Chip Lindsey, give it to whoever the hell the offensive coordinator was. It was always who's calling the plays, who's calling the plays.
Yeah.
He's more comfortable, man. Look, he was a good head coach for Auburn. He went to Central Florida. He did a fine job. He is in his element as an O coordinator.
He is, man.
He's in his element.
He looked it, and he was in his bag on Saturday, and you could sense it. And all of us Auburn fans, we've been there before, where it's like everything he dials up to work.
We were living vicariously through.
We were.
Florida State. And the ironic thing is Florida State's team that beat us in the national championship game, he'd have just kept doing the damn offense with Nick Marshall, he would have won. And then he goes and coaches for Florida State. That's the wildest crap. Kyle J.A. is a gamer, period. To have that QB is huge. And here's the ironic thing, and everybody, and we're all, I wouldn't say I'm guilty because I was at practice. I couldn't really tell y'all. I told y'all that. I was like,
you said that a lot. Yes.
I don't know what to do. I'm like, we see him going up against, certain formations and things that are staged. And he's not really a true drop back passer. And a lot of those drills were drop back passing, type drills. And so, the pass rush would get in there and he wouldn't make a decision. Y'all saw Coach Freeze throw his visor because he missed a cut one time and he held the ball. He's hesitant to make a throw. He doesn't want to make a mistake. Now, The reason you didn't hear a lot of stuff out of those scrimmages because they blew the play dead. When things broke down, he's gone. And you couldn't see that or get a report from that in the scrimmage. You saw it in the game Friday night, man. When he gets outside and there's not a play right there for him to release the football to, his butt's gone, dude. Yeah. And he is hard to tackle. And it's like he already knows he's got 7 yards. He's like, I got 7 yards on this play, but can I get 15? Is my guy open? And if he ain't wide open, hell, I'm running. And I'm gonna go slide, and I'm gonna get up, and we're gonna go to the line of scrimmage, and we're gonna do it again. And there ain't nothing anybody can do about it. I mean, just nothing.
Well, and it won't work out that way all year, but but a lot of other things are going to open up. And Auburn has recruited the wide receiver position better than they have any other position on the field.
Studs all over the field.
If those guys can't win in one-on-one coverage, then so be it. We don't deserve to win some of these big games we have coming up. But, to close out on the offensive side, thrilled about the way the offensive line played. Looked like they were just a step ahead as far as getting pushed the entire night. When, a key to the ball game that Andy and I said on Friday was, first down, get 3 or 4 yards. There's a big difference between getting tackled for a 1 yard loss on a slow developing run and just getting up there and it's 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 6. And a majority of the night on Friday, it was 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6. We weren't gashing them. But you get that,
and then positive yards, and I loved our tempo. I loved our tempo,
and I just love that we played physical football between the tackles and the 2 running backs. Talk about them, Brett. Your thought on both? I felt like both of them looked really good. They looked equal to one another. Of course, we know Damari's going to be a little bit more physical, a little bit more downhill. Expect Jeremiah. He didn't have a big gainer the other night. They're going to come. I mean, he has that type of explosiveness that they're going to come. I thought both of them looked 1A, 1B, and that's all you can ask for.
Well, it is 1A, 1B. 16 carries for both. Damari had 84 yards. Jeremiah had 74. 10 yards difference. Both had 16 carries. Both had a touchdown. Neither one had a long run. 11 yards was Damari's longest run. 9 for Jeremiah. Jackson Arnold, 16 carries, 137 yards, 27 yards was his longest run. That was that touchdown. And then he had 2 on the ground. So 4 touchdowns on the ground for Auburn, accounted for 28 of the 38 points. Just a great effort. Again, if you'd have told me going into the game that our leading receiver would have had 1 catch for 26 yards, I'd have said, hell, just Hugh Freeze won't even make it back to Auburn. Like, we got killed so bad that but that's what happened. Malcolm had that catch in the first quarter, which I thought kind of turned the momentum of the game. I thought, we did a really good job of going down there and holding Baylor, not letting them score on that second drive. They already kicked the field goal. And then and then on that drive, Malcolm catches that pass, and it's like, okay, now we're loosened up a little bit. And we carry the ball on down the field and score. And it just kind of changed the whole psyche of the game. It kind of gave the confidence to our offense that we needed. So I was very impressed with that. But, again, the receivers are going to have their day. That's coming. The receivers are going to have opportunities because now people have some film to watch, and they go, well, here's Jackson Arnold did this to Alabama last year. He did it to Baylor this year, and they're going to have to honor that. Teams are going to have to honor that, or else he's going to do it to them. And so that's what is so good about what we saw, and he needed a good game. He needed something to build some confidence. So, some comments. Brandon said Gus would still be at Auburn if he wouldn't have gone away from a running quarterback. Randy, you've said that a million times. Brandon, you've told me that. I think everybody agrees. It's the biggest mystery in the world. Somebody call Gus and say, why did you do that? Why did you feel like you had to change your offense to a drop back style, pro style type quarterback?
I'll never answer that. So, Brandon, you and I are on the same page there. I can't say it enough.
Don't know.
I begged and pleaded probably more than anyone wanted.
We had Malik Willis.
I begged and pleaded for Malik Willis for years. Brett got tired of hearing me talk about it. I mean, but I was thrilled for him. We'll close with him. I was just glad he got to go to Hugh Freeze and prove that I wasn't completely insane. That he went over there and he put on a show for a couple of years, and it at least gave me a little credence to go. My eyes were telling me something that he was able to cash, and he actually made it to the NFL, and so it ended up working out for him. But my gosh, we had someone that looked like a better passer and maybe a little quicker and more. I'm not saying that he was as good at running through tackles as Nick Marshall, because he was a freak show with that. But the other couple of things he could have done were amazing. So Luke says running backs look great. I'll take both them getting 70 to 80 yards per game. That's my point a little bit earlier. We get caught up wondering how many passing.
What's your magic number for a running quarterback to have a good year?
Well, Auburn has proven
800 yards.
Anywhere between 800 to 900 yards. If you can get that in 12-game season
with complimentary running backs.
Yes, no, I'm not. I'm talking about we're not asking for 1,500 from Cam Newton.
Yes.
We're asking for Nick Marshall. And Nick Marshall, 800 to 900, keeping you honest, which is about 60 to 70 yards per game, which is plenty good for the 12 to 13 games that Auburn is going to play. And back to Brandon's comments that I totally agree with. Gus would have stayed with that, he just overthought all of it at certain points. So that's neither here nor there. Let's finish with the defense real quick, though. Brett, I didn't feel like the linebackers played terrible. Did I not see that?
I don't think
I thought we were okay up front.
And we were out of position. I told y'all that before this past week. I said the only concern I have with some of our guys is inexperience. They're downhill. They're not shy. We got thumpers. We got gap fillers. We got physical, look the part linebackers. What we struggled with was that pass coverage and those crossing routes. We got confused.
You felt like they needed to be back in coverage. They weren't getting deep enough.
Yeah, I think they were confused. And I think that's where a majority of Sawyer Robertson's success came, was right over the middle, dumping it right behind them. And then our secondary came up and couldn't put them on the ground. And again, that was where I was a little disappointed. I think everybody around us was a little disappointed. Got to be more physical than that. Period. This is not – Baylor's a mid-tier SEC team. If you want to compare Baylor to somebody, they're a mid this year, probably more on the average of a bottom-tier SEC team. But they are a middle-tier SEC team right now. So we got to be more physical. Hey, look, we got better last year, Randy.
We did, yes.
Secondary got better. Look, Jay Crawford is a dog. Kayan Lee's a dog. Sylvester Smith's a dog. Anquan Fagan's a dog. Eric Winters had 3 tackles, and I keep going. Rayon Strader, Rayshawn Pleasant. But we got to figure out a little bit more consistency. And I think Durkin said, look, we played too many guys, had to figure out what some guys could do and what some guys couldn't. Now they got some tape to go in there and show some of these guys. Here's why you ain't going to play more. Okay? I gave you a chance, and this is why you're not going to play more. Now go out there and correct it, and you can get back into rotation. So we're going to be fine there. I really do. All right, I've had enough of Auburn. Okay? I got to get to the real stuff. All right. What in the hell happened in Tallahassee, Florida, to a team that was 14-point favorites? All right. Of course, they beat us last year. We're the outlier. But when you go back to Oklahoma, got killed. They beat us. We were terrible. Okay, so I'm giving you that. Then you go play Michigan. Half their team sat out. They still beat Alabama. And then they open up the season on the road against a team that won 2 games. All right, they are a different team, 100%. I told everybody that yesterday. Florida State ain't the same team they were last year. They got Castellanos, and that guy is a problem for everybody moving forward. Everybody needs to know that Florida State ain't the same team as they were last year. But Castellanos backed up what he was saying. Everybody's like, oh, he's trash talking, he's disrespecting Alabama. And he's like, no, they ain't stopping me, man. And Mike Norville went out and got some really good players in the portal. And he's been doing a hell of a job recruiting. He goes out and gets Gus Malzahn. He goes out and gets Herb Hand. And those two together are deadly. They've been coaching together a long time.
Yep.
They coached together at Auburn, coached together at Central Florida. Now they're coaching together at Florida State. It's a whole new look Florida State team. They were not afraid of Alabama. and they took it to Alabama. They were the more physical team. They looked like they were more athletic than Alabama. And so that was not a fluke win. That was a dominating performance by Florida State. And look, we've heard all our Alabama friends say the same exact thing. They ain't none of them trying to cover this up and try to make an excuse. They're all sick. They all know that whatever happened in that game ain't going to be fixed overnight. And you can't fix physicality. You either physical or you're not. Somebody ain't getting coached physical in Tuscaloosa is all I'm saying.
Well, from a leadership standpoint, let's start there. First off, Andy and I, again, back to our Friday show that you missed, Brett. We went down the power rankings for all of the teams in the SEC and then nationally. And just pointing out 5 stars and 4 stars that are on these rosters.
Right.
And, that's where I would start as an Alabama fan. There's a certain point where you go, we don't have an excuse, man. And anybody that wants to compare DeBoer to Harsin, don't do that. I mean, don't even do Brian Harsin that bad, because what Brian Harsin walked into at Auburn was not 15 5-stars and another 44 stars.
Oh, God, no.
And the number
Plus, he couldn't help himself because he didn't know how to recruit. So.
Well, the number 2 overall talented team in the country is what Alabama's got, if you're just simply going off stars. Sure. And so with that being said, there's no excuse. Now it really gets into a development. It really gets into a leadership deal. And a few things that
he does not have the right personality.
A few things that's been a bit, well, I was going to say that all of my Alabama friends text me a simple comment, and it was from different text threads on Saturday night. And all of them said the same thing.
I'm glad I don't have that many Alabama fans.
Well, we've taken on the personality, where you were on one of them, so you read the same thing. Yeah. So we've taken on the personality of our head coach, and the luster is gone from the program. So they show up and they play, and nobody's scared of them anymore. And the luster around the program, oh my gosh, here they come. They're going to beat us 55-7. That's gone. And they're not going to beat us at the point of attack. We're not scared of the offensive line. No. I think that's where I'd start as an Alabama fan. Offensive line play.
That was terrible.
I do not. And where did the running backs go? Hey, I know I know every running back they get, we would like to have. Would you agree with that? I'm not saying Absolutely. They're better than ours, but you've got to guess that if Alabama goes out and gets a running back to commit, it's going to be a 5-star or a high 4-star that everybody else wanted. And where are they? I just don't see the talent there. Maybe it all changes, but I'm hopeful it doesn't change, Brett. I hope.
No, hell, are you kidding me? Are you talking about changing? What are you doing? I mean, no. Stay in the dumps, dude. Y'all been riding a high for 20 years. It's time to be in the dumpster. All right. Ty Simpson was 23 or 43. Of course, I mean, not the best, but 254 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He's not the reason Alabama lost. Like, I'm sick of hearing all these Alabama fans, you got to have a quarterback change. Look, man, it ain't Ty Simpson's fault. He played well enough to win a football game, in my opinion. Now, again, is he a dynamic playmaker? No. But that's look, you just said it, Randy. The damn whole roster is the number 2 roster in the country. Yeah. Ain't nobody look, if you want to brag about all your recruiting championships, then you're gonna have to face up to it when you don't come through on the field. Nick Saban would go win a bunch of recruiting championships, and then he'd go win a bunch of championships. You go recruit a bunch of recruiting championships, and you go out and play the way you did against Florida State, it don't add up. So when I look at it from running, they ran for 87 total yards. You ain't beating nobody running for 87 yards, period. And I heard what Luke said on his pod this morning and said, it's not Ty Simpson's fault, but we need a quarterback change. We need an athletic quarterback with this team. I agree with that point. Yeah. But the point is Ty Simpson's not the reason Alabama lost that football game. Ty Simpson's a pretty decent quarterback. Now, he is not somebody that's going to be able to put that team on his shoulders and go win a bunch of football games. So when you say that and you look at the whole team, you go, okay, we got some problems. And let me tell you something. Everybody can argue with me all they want to. I don't cover Alabama, but my eyes for a couple years have told me, especially to the latter part of last year into this year, that Jeremy Bernard is their best receiver. Now, I know, Ryan, look, Williams and all the lore and number 1, number 2 receiver in the country, however you wanted to spin it. He's dynamic in space and all that, and I'm not taking anything away from him. But if you wanted to give me somebody, Jeremy Bernard is the guy. That's who I'm going for if I'm Alabama. I mean, 8 catches, 146 yards. He's physical, man.
Yeah, he's physical.
Block your butt. I think Ryan Williams has got carrying stuffed dinosaurs and doing TikTok videos and all that kind of crap on his mind. And look, again, people can call me a homer all they want, and that's
doesn't matter. Hell, you're perfectly good with that.
I will take Cam Coleman over Ryan Williams any day. I don't give a damn. Y'all can argue with me. Y'all can have him. He may score 4 touchdowns on us this year in Auburn, and everybody will come back to this show and go, okay, what you got now? I don't care. I'm taking Cam Coleman over Ryan Williams all day long, and it's just my opinion. And it ain't got nothing to do with being an Auburn fan or not being an Alabama fan. I just looking at the two, and I'm like, if I had to pick one, I'm picking Cam. I am.
Well, I think tie is fine if you've got a running game that you can lean on and count on them going out there and getting 150.
And I know Jam Miller's hurt. Miller's hurt. Would he have made a difference?
But last year they had a running quarterback, and then they wanted a thrower. So I don't know. I mean, you can't have. I guess it feels like you can't have both, and Alabama's looking for both right now. And I just get a feel that this is. He's a $77 million buyout, Brett.
70, I think.
70? I think it's 66 after this year. I think somewhere in there it's maybe.
Yeah, I saw 70 a couple times, but
it's a 2031 contract, correct?
Right.
And I know it's crazy we're already talking about that, but
did anybody really feel like? And now again, they may right the ship, dude, and they may go win the SEC. And
I don't see it,
but I just don't. Sitting here, just the mentality of the team to me is the problem. But again, the roster is there, but I think even Alabama fans, as irrational as most of them are all the time, Alabama fans are going, okay, this ain't pretty. And look, we've been able to kind of work our way through some things in the past. And, if we played bad against somebody, it was okay. We knew, we'd rebound. I don't know that I don't know how much you're rebounding from this. I mean, are you going to get more physical from one week to the next?
They never have. Hey, we never have. Look, we're experts when it comes into early season woes and then expecting a potential turnaround by the end of the season. Let me fill everybody in.
There's no magic wand out there.
There's not a magic wand when you start looking at line of scrimmage play and then
let me just go
soft and you seem a step behind. That ends up playing out the remainder of the year.
And Auburn's got 2 games, and then they got 2 tough road games, and then a week off, and they got Georgia. So I know we got a tough stretch coming too. So we'll know a lot more after week 5 for a lot of teams. But Alabama's got Wild Monroe, Wisconsin. They'll beat both of them, I think. Wisconsin. I mean, I don't think Wisconsin's a world beater. They come into Alabama, should take care of business. Then they got to go to Georgia on September the 27th. And then they got Vanderbilt coming in. And look, I know Vanderbilt beat both of us last year, and everybody's like, well, they still got Diego Pavia, dude. And that guy's a gamer.
Yep.
And you can say whatever the hell you want to say about him. That guy don't bow down to anybody. He's proven that. We know it worse than anybody.
He's beat our asses 2 times in a row. So
2 different teams. Okay. Then they've got to go to Missouri. Missouri ain't anything. Tennessee comes to Alabama on October the 18th. Then Alabama's got to go to South Carolina. Better be worried about that. Those 2 games right there, Tennessee and South Carolina back-to-back. Tennessee coming to Alabama and then going to South Carolina. Look, South Carolina, you look at the game that they played today, and I know it wasn't anything like spectacular, but they look pretty dang good, man.
And you know who else? You know who else looked to me that they're going to consistently be good right now is Tennessee.
I agree. Joey,
man, I don't know if they're ever going to be SEC champions or a national champion.
But you better bring it when you play them.
They are well coached.
Yep.
They're physical. They've got an identity.
I know he looks like Bobby. I know he looks like Bobby off that cartoon. I get it. But hell, Bobby can coach, dude.
Heupel can coach.
Yeah.
Yes, he can coach. I meant to send that in our text thread that I knew I'd upset a few of our Bamas that are in that text thread, but Tennessee is to me that they have righted the ship maybe as much as anyone in the SEC, because we don't know about Florida.
No,
I'm not buying into Florida.
They played a high school, by the way.
I'm not.
They ought to be embarrassed scheduling Long Island.
My dad said that today. He said Long Island.
Have you seen did you see their team picture?
Have you seen the roster?
I'm sorry. Look, this ain't a cut on anybody. It look like a two-way school. They look like a two-way school sitting in the stands of a high school stadium. And I said, that's for Florida playing that? Like, when did they schedule Fife? Like, I just went on up to North Alabama and scheduled Fife to come down and play them. But no, you're right. I mean, Tennessee and South Carolina, and then guess what you got to do? You got LSU coming in. And let me tell you, LSU should have blown Clemson out. They got robbed last night. One of the worst calls. Like, can somebody explain to me, when you catch the ball clearly inbounds with control and a foot and touch the pylon and then fall down out of bounds like 5 yards into the boundary and the damn ball wiggled a little bit, oh, it's incomplete. What kind of rule is that? Like, seriously, can somebody tell me what kind? I'm not a big LSU fan, but I was pulling for them against Clemson because I don't like Dabo Swinney. He's a whiny little, you know what, and everything. But LSU missed an opportunity before half. They should have kicked the field goal, and they didn't do it, and they went for it, and everything was discombobulated. I'm like, they're about to lose their 6th consecutive season opener, and Brian Kelly may not make it back to the other Death Valley. But they came out, and let me tell you, Garrett Nussmeier, dude, everybody better watch out, man. That guy is good. LSU's good. They went over there and beat a really good Clemson. You're going to find out Clemson's good. And their defense shut down Cade Klubnik and that group. And not many people going to do that. That Clemson offense is good, man. But I'm telling you, LSU, that's the stretch Alabama's got. Listen to this. They got Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, and Oklahoma. Now, who's betting that Alabama's going to win 4 of those 5? Anybody betting on that right now?
I'm not. I'm not at all.
Now, could they? Yeah, they could.
Well, in years past, they would have been upset if they would have only won 4 out of those 5.
I agree with that.
But those days are so far gone.
But South Carolina's number 13 in the country right now. Tennessee's 24. LSU's number 9. They're about to go up. Okay, they're going up.
Deserved
Oklahoma. Look, we don't know what Oklahoma's got. Look, they played a high school too, and it was 28 to 6 or something. What were they? I can't remember what their score was, but it wasn't anything to write home about. Let me look it up so I don't sound stupid. They ended up winning 35-3, but it was 28-3 forever over Illinois State. Okay, so we don't know what Mateer can do really. I mean, yeah, I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I told you that. I think, but Oklahoma, LSU, South Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, Vanderbilt, and Georgia in reverse order. That's who Alabama's got to me, that schedule. Then they have Eastern Illinois, and then they got to come to Auburn. Now, again, I don't know what we'll look like by then, but if things continue to progress for us at Auburn, and we'll see how that works out, I don't know what that Iron Bowl could look like.
Yeah, Brandon, yes. Brandon asked, will we make it into the top 25? I think yes. And I think it will break the longest streak in the SEC. I don't know the exact number, but I think Auburn is currently the bottom of the totem pole in the SEC. We're the last team still out from the last time we were in the top 25. So deserve to. You know, I think Auburn proved a lot. Does it mean that we're a top 10 team or a championship caliber team? I mean, we've got to prove that, but we proved a lot by going on the road and beating a good favorite team.
Let me tell you something. Utah laid it on UCLA, which Nico Emealiava looks like a complete idiot. I'm sorry. The whole thing's a disaster.
Tennessee got the better end of that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, isn't it
And
funny
did
how
you
that
see the
works
crowd?
out?
Did you see the crowd at UCLA? Was there 8,500 people there?
Pitiful.
Nobody gives a damn in California about football. Like,
Yep.
you can't say, like, I don't know how you want to go out there and play for either of those programs. But Utah laid the wood to UCLA. Florida State laid the wood to Alabama. Auburn laid the wood to Baylor. And Georgia Tech laid the wood to freaking Colorado. And by the way, I got to say this: me and Faith were on the bus going back to the airport going back to our car in the Atlanta airport, and got on the tram with a couple of Georgia Tech fans, and they said if you weren't high by the time you left the stadium, you had something plugged in your nose, because the entire student section was smoking weed the whole game. Hell, they still don't know who won, and I think they're still in the stands. But one of the guys said, I couldn't get the hell out of there fast enough. And he said there was one men's bathroom in the whole stadium. He said it was on the opposite side of the stadium. And he said by the time he walked from his seat to the bathroom, he missed the whole quarter and got high in the process. I said, dude, he said, I will never. He said, now it's pretty out there. Love the scenery. But hey, he said, hell, I'm never going back out there again. So, but those four teams should vie for a top 25 position: Utah, Florida State, Auburn, and Georgia Tech. I think they win, and Georgia Tech.
Hey, what's the common denominator on all of those teams? Running quarterback.
All dual threats.
We're not talking about kind of dual threats. We're talking about 100+ yards rushing dual threats.
Hey, how much is Georgia Tech wishing they still had Eric Singleton too?
Oh, yeah, of course. He left a good football team.
Stockton, man, at Georgia, running quarterback.
Yeah, downhill physical running quarterback. Yep.
Brandon said California's good at changing your gender. Yeah, no doubt. Just said Dion said during the second quarter they lighted up. No shit. That, according to that Georgia Tech fan, they didn't wait to the second quarter. They had it lit up before they got in the stadium. And the guy said it was just, he said, does everybody realize they're just over there having a dope party in the student section? Like, I know it's legal out there, but nobody cared. So how far will Alabama fall? That's a good question, man. I don't know. It's going to, these polls
between 15 and 20.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 15 and 20. I doubt they'll drop outside of the top 20. But do you think?
Look, I know we got a tough schedule too, but we don't.
No. This schedule for Auburn.
I'm talking about there's a stretch that's tough. Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Georgia.
You're never going to get it easier than this.
No, you're not.
You're not. Like, from now on, we won't have a schedule.
But what I was saying is, I know it's tough, but Alabama's got a pretty tough schedule.
It's a brutal one.
And you look at how they played against a Florida State team. Again, you can't run from the fact that they won 2 ball games last year. Now, they changed a lot. They went out and got a dynamic quarterback. They got a new offensive coordinator. I mean, Mike Norvell had to do some things to save his own job. And I think he did. And I think Florida State
did too. Yep.
I think Florida State will be a problem. And Alabama walked into a buzzsaw. Now, how will they respond? To me, Kalen DeBoer looked lost in the post-game press conference.
Always does.
He does, man, and confused. And
just not a good fit, man.
We know coaches, Randy, when they look like this on the sideline most of the game.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like. The whole time he's like, he smells like, he looks like somebody took a crap in his face and he's smelling it. And he's like, and it's like confusion the whole time. And I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pound it into the ground. It's just, I was surprised that Alabama,
we all are. We all have got conditioned to, no matter who, and it's not no matter who the coach is. We're just conditioned that Nick Saban's going to roll somebody out there that's just going to be such a well-disciplined team, handle themselves the right way, play physical football, run. Did you see the safety? Did you see the safety's effort?
Oh, the number 15. Now, was he playing dodgeball? Because he was trying to not get touched by somebody.
No, I'm talking about 18 for Alabama running down the running back when he got to the opposite side.
I'm talking about number 15.
Oh, go find that clip.
I'll have to go find that one.
Oh,
I saw another film on that, but it, to me,
just poor effort. just
100%.
completely uninterested. Auburn against LSU a few years ago when we didn't want to tackle Leonard Fournette and that crew.
Right.
You know the game, Brett.
I know exactly which one.
That type of effort was given. It
Was
felt
that
like
when Trey
yesterday.
Matthews rode the back of Leonard Fournette down the sideline?
We all that's one I try to clear from my mind nightly.
I mean, I'm trying to find. Let me see real quick. Yeah, Nico Imialiava. I just wanted to throw this back out there. I want to switch back again to how bad this was. 43-10. He was 11 of 22 for 136 yards. Joey Aguilar, I think he threw for almost 300 yards and maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns for Tennessee. I can't remember. I don't have it pulled up in front of me either. But, yeah, all you Georgia Tech fans – and, by the way, for our good friend Will out there, I'm sorry that y'all have Robbie Ashford. I don't know that I can find a bigger dumpster fire. If we had to award dumpster fire game of the week, it would be the Wake Forest winning 10-9. That is like one of the worst games I think I could find anywhere. And you look up Robbie Ashford's numbers and you're like, yeah, he's still terrible. He somehow finagles his way into being a starter at major programs. I don't know how he does it, but he is horrific. And just the stat, he's like, dude, Lil went from he scored on the first drive. He's like,
yeah.
And he's like, no, I've changed my mind, guys. I think I'm not coming back to another game all year for Robbie Ashford as a quarterback. I hate it. I don't mean to bash somebody. He just can't get it done. He's just not a very good quarterback. So, all right. So some other games, Texas and Ohio State. Look, man, I think Arch Manning will be fine, but my God, can people quit anointing him the next Heisman winner before he takes a snap in college football? Like Paul Feinbaum is the worst at setting somebody up to get destroyed. Oh, he's the best player since Tim Tebow. Dude ain't taking a snap as a starter yet. And just he's been on covers of magazines and everything, and can't wait for the Arch Man. This is going to be most unbelievable thing we've seen in years. Yeah, it was. It was unbelievable. They managed 7 points on the road as the number 1 team in the country against Ohio State. That's what was unbelievable. And so, I don't know. You tell me, Randy, what's your thoughts on Arch Manning?
Well, I don't know if you got to watch much of it.
I watched the whole thing sitting in the airport on a freaking 2-hour delay because
I was wondering if you got to see it. And,
yes,
they tried to start the football game using his legs, Brett. You could just sense that Sark was not confident going into the ball game of just cutting him loose. And I don't know, does that tell you something? To me, when you've got Lane Kiffin or Sark as your quarterback and, as your offensive coordinator and head coach, and they're not, pitching and catching it down the field, Brett, to me, it almost tells me that they know going in they've got to scheme something else up. And it felt that way on Saturday. And he made some throws, though, that a well-groomed quarterback would not do. And I do think that there is some skill set there. And I thought at the end of the football game he was going to come back and make some plays, and it was going to be the storyline. But there's a mental lapse there. There's not a true confidence level that you would expect to see from someone that's been built up that much. So I was a little shocked with it, but Ohio State is just so darn good. Brett, they're so talented. They're so talented on the defensive side of the football, and it's money well spent. They're well coached now too. They play a physical brand of football. They don't mind beating you by 1 score in their house. They didn't have to throw the ball all over the park either, and they couldn't. Hey, here's one thing about Texas. Texas's defense was good enough to hold them to a couple of scores.
No, you got to credit the defense. The defense
sure do.
Played pretty well. I'll go back and get some of these comments. Just said, need to bring Willie in for another pep talk. Look, I texted y'all today, and that to me was the sign that, that thing's over in Tuscaloosa. When you let damn Roll Tide Willie come in to give a pep talk, this 2 years in a row now, that he's become the mascot of that program. So people can say whatever they want, but he is, and blitz, Bama blitz, and whatever the hell else he says. But Jeff said, really need an Auburn blitz hat to wear over here in Enterprise. We can definitely hook you up on that, Jeff. We're going to give we got to get our predictions. I don't know yet. Faith and I are going to go through all of those and figure out who won the prediction from this past week. Every week we're going to have prediction. Get it in. We'll get the comments together, and then we'll have a different tiebreaker. It was passing yards for Jackson Arnold, so didn't have a lot. So we'll see who got the closest there, and we'll get some gear out to people. Luke said, "Yes, it is. I try to forget that game too, Randy." Justin said everyone in the media took L's this weekend except for Corso. Well, matter of fact, since he just brought that up, Lee Corso's game day picks were Tennessee win, Florida State win, South Carolina win, LSU win, Ohio State win, and guess who else just won? Miami. They just won 27-24. I just saw that too, Brandon. He said Miami just won. Yes. So he was perfect. Guess who wasn't perfect? Paul Feinbaum and Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd couldn't have been worse on his picks. I mean, just go back and look at that. I retweeted that. That was the most god-awful picking. He needs to just take the rest of the year off. He picked so bad. I think he said that Alabama and Clemson were going to roll easy. And then something else, some other team, and got blown out. And I'm like, dude, you don't know a damn thing.
Do you watch him?
No. I no.
He's not one that I can stomach.
Aggravates, man. I mean,
I don't know. He just there's something about, I like Feinbaum because he interacts with callers, and to me, the interaction back and forth makes it. I mean, he's easy to blast. I mean, he says things that don't end up coming to be.
Clemson and Bama roll, Texas would win close. And he said, I'm just going to go ahead and sit down the next 10 hours and eat several large sandwiches. Big boy football's back. Yeah, you got all in, buddy. He's all. Don't bet on what Colin Cowherd says. I can tell you that. All right, so let's go through the SEC real quick before we get off. And we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. But South Carolina won today. Again, nothing like world beating, but 24-11. I don't know that Virginia Tech's very good, but I think
still solid football, good defensive football. Yep. I mean, I think we all know South Carolina's got a quarterback that a lot of us would like to have. So with that being said, if they play good defense, they're going to beat some teams they shouldn't.
No doubt. All right, Missouri over Central Arkansas High School, 61-6. We just talked about Auburn and Texas. Tennessee, we talked about them. Convincing win over Syracuse. Saw a bunch of their fans in the airport. I guess they floated their butt right on back up to New York with a big L. Mississippi State went on the road and beat Southern Miss. Had a coach come up to me and Faith somehow at the 7-on-7 at Auburn. He's a Southern Miss coach. He said, I'm just telling y'all need to go bet on Southern Miss this year. We're going to win the conference. And, we're – the over-under is 4.5 wins. You need to bet the over. We're going to go win 8 or 9 games this year. Not off to a big start there with a pretty poor Mississippi State team, but we'll see. All right. Zach Noodle Arm Calzada doesn't need to say anything else. They won. They beat Toledo 24-16, but I ain't listening to this dude talk trash to anybody. He was a massive 10 of 23 for 85 yards and a pick. So I'm ready to play you, Zach. Come on. We're waiting for you. Bring the noodle arm on back to Auburn. I don't know what we did to piss you off. And he he was there for a year, never played. He couldn't play because his arm was dangling.
And Justin, you've never asked a question that's got an easier answer than this one.
He ain't making it, dude.
Trent Dilfer, he may be the worst Division I college football coach
that I've ever seen. He may be one of the biggest asses, too. I'm sorry. Well, I don't mean to offend. I don't know Trent Dilfer, but I've heard enough, and I've seen his demeanor, and I've talked to players, and I don't know many that even like him that's on the team. Seriously.
What you've done with that defense at UAB should be a disgrace to that program, and it's amazing to see where they can go from Bill Clark to this. And then suck it up and deal with it as long as they have. I mean, why did they not fire him this offseason?
I don't know.
Now, look, we got a Benjamin Russell kid there that I'm cheering for because I think his talent level is as high as Malcolm's and some of the others.
SEC next year.
Corey Milner, and he had a big night. He had over 100 and a touchdown, and one of them was about a 65-yarder.
Better be glad he had a big night.
I know it. They needed every single point that they got, so I'm thrilled. No matter what, I hope Corey has a big year. That's the one I'm cheering for there. But oh no, I don't know why they kept him this year. And then does Auburn here? Let's close with this one, Brett. Let's close with this one. Does Auburn's win change your win total for this year?
No.
Not for you, not yet.
Not right now. No. I think 8 wins is about where we are until I see us go on the road and beat Oklahoma and Texas A&M. And I'll go, okay, 9, chance at 9, and then we'll see as we go. But I'm going to stick with 8. Look, one game didn't make a season. I'm glad we went. Now, I'm glad we are not sitting here today talking about, well, here we are again.
Oh, amen.
Thank God. And look, I told everybody, I told y'all this. When we were in the press conference, I looked at Faith after the press conference was over, and she and I both agreed. I said, I know Coach Freeze is glad we won, but he just looked relieved that was over. And everybody just kind of had the sense that, okay, we got through that. Now let's move on. Now let's get back to Auburn. Let's get these other 2 games under our belt before we have to come back on the road. I really think rubber hitting the road at Oklahoma on September 20th. I really do. It's going to be a very intriguing game for both programs. Let's not try to disguise it. Brent Venables' ass is on the hot seat.
God, yeah, a terrible job.
It's burning over there. So he had to go out and get Mateer, and Auburn went out and got Jackson Arnold. So Jackson Arnold will return to Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold's got a Baker Mayfield-ish feel to him. He's got a little dog in him that wants to prove everybody wrong. And I think he is licking his chops to get back to Oklahoma. I do. I don't think it's any bad blood. I mean, Oklahoma wanted to keep him. I mean, Brent Venables said that at media days. I don't want anybody to mistake like he's going back on some revenge tour. But I think that he's like, okay, I'm about to show everybody what I can do. And I think he's got that in him, dude. I think he's got some of that little moxie about him. He wants to go out there and show everybody, hey, look, man, I ain't some little washed up, not going to achieve my goals like everybody thinks I'm going to achieve. I'm going to go out here and show everybody. I think the Oklahoma game could really propel Auburn to a possible run at a playoff berth.
You're going to know what Oklahoma's got this weekend. I mean, Oklahoma taking on Michigan. You're going to know. If Oklahoma plays a good physical brand of football like you expect them to, and the quarterback, if Mateer plays to the level you expected him to play, because that's the thing that we don't really see just yet is he a top 3 or 4 SEC quarterback? Right. Because he was the number 1 in the portal if Jackson Arnold wasn't. So they got him one. They went out there and needed one, and they got him one. Yep. Now, which one of our 2?
If he's sitting on his rear end because the pass rush, again,
like we saw last year,
Oklahoma was terrible at pass protection. They were the worst in the league last year. Yep. Did they clean that up? Like you said, you'll find out against Michigan. All right. Great stuff, guys. Appreciate all of you that tuned us in tonight. Fun stuff, kind of giving a little recap of the SEC and around the country. Hey, look, it's the first weekend. Hey, got some football tomorrow, everybody. Got Labor Day football coming up tomorrow. You got North Carolina be playing tomorrow. Are you interested in that game at all tomorrow?
Nope.
Don't give a crap. Bill Belichick. All right, and then that's it. That'll wrap up college football for week 1. So TCU at North Carolina. TCU's a 3.5-point favorite. I hope TCU beats the hell out of them because I don't like Bill Belichick. I think he's a fraud. I think he's weird. I think he didn't win any Super Bowls if it wasn't for Tom Brady. So, there's my thoughts on Bill Weird Belichick. Dude's just weird. I mean, I'm not even going to it. I'm just going to leave it alone. So, all right, that's how. Don't give a piss, right, Justin, about anything but Auburn. How about that, everybody? All right, everybody have a good night. We'll talk to you later.